Welcome back, everyone, to Mindful Leadership Beyond Borders podcast. And we are here with Mr. Geoff Keller. And in part one, he was telling us about how he narrowly escaped having a prefrontal lobotomy. Can you imagine? That was at 31. He's now 75. And what we're talking about is how to age gracefully and healthfully, if that is such a word. So, Geoff, tell us about, you mentioned that there are other components of health and wellness that you think might be of interest to people. What would you like to say about that?
Absolutely. I have six other health components that I engage in on a regular basis. And the first four are basic. Everybody needs to really be mindful of these. And I'm just going to
Okay.
say them right up front. One
Okay.
is stress management. Another one is
Yes.
getting optimal rest.
Right.
Another one is staying well hydrated. And a
Mm.
fourth is maintaining a positive mental attitude. I try and engage every one of those. I have
Yeah.
two more components of my health and wellness program. One of them I refer to as interfacing with the natural world. I do that as much as I possibly can. I'm fortunate to have a 5 acre property. I'm outside breathing fresh air. I am getting optimal amounts of sunshine, not too much, not too little. And curiously, the Japanese have a term for this. They refer to it as forest bathing for
Oh,
the
yeah.
precise for
Yes.
the same reason I do. It's a health benefit. So I definitely am a forest bather,
Mm.
and that basically winds up my. Forgot to mention I also engage in heat therapy, and
Oh.
heat therapy and cold therapy have
Mm.
therapeutic effects for sure, health benefits. I don't do cold very well, but I sure can do heat therapy. And what that does, it forms what are referred to as heat shock proteins. Well, these heat shock proteins have a benefit to health. What they do is they have the ability to address one of the 12 hallmarks of aging. And that particular hallmark of aging involves our tissue's ability to make healthy proteins because as we get older, the proteins we make are sometimes deformed, they're misfolded, they're non-functional.
Mm.
Apparently, according to research, heat shock proteins have the ability to repair this damage, and if it can't be repaired, then they tag those particular proteins for recycling and start over again. So those are basically the six other components to my health and wellness program.
That's awesome. So, because we were talking about proteins, let's move along and chat about supplements. What do you feel is absolutely necessary for a health and wellness program? I know with me I can get very frustrated. I go into my cubby and I've got so many supplements in there. It drives me crazy, right? And so I've said to people, professionals that I've worked with, I've said, I only want to take 8 in a day, you know, and can be tinctures or it can be teas or whatever because it's too much, like I only want to take what's necessary in the moment. So please address that, Geoff. I think that's important.
Well, actually, your question is a great one, and I take a boatload of supplements, believe you me.
Ah,
In supplements in general, that's the biggest unknown in my health and wellness program because I don't really know how they are affecting my health and longevity. And your question actually is so comprehensive. Uh, I want to, I don't think I can respond in a fast way and get it
yeah.
in a time efficient way, but I do want to mention, I do want to go into some detail about four supplements I take, all of
Okay.
which have the potential to extend human longevity.
I'm
And
taking notes.
okay,
I'm taking notes.
these four supplements have surfaced on the radar screen just in the last, 2, 3, 10 years more, maybe 15 years, because it's all cutting edge. It's all cutting edge research. So I refer to these supplements because as my faith-based supplemental program because they
Mm-hmm.
haven't, they're supposed, research says they're going to extend human longevity. but the research has been conducted primarily on mice, and yet they haven't stood the test of time. But I can't wait, 30 or 40 years to find out, is the research correct? Do these really extend human longevity? I either have to go for it or not at all. And I'm going
Mm,
for it. So I want to
okay.
discuss as quickly as possible my four faith-based supplements. Number
Okay.
one is an herb that's been used in traditional Chinese medicine for centuries. It's called Gatu Kola. And the Chinese have thought for centuries that Gatu Kola has the ability to extend human longevity, but modern science never really had the mechanism as to how that could be possible. So they kind of wrote it off as folklore. Well, modern research may have found the connection just recently. Gatu Kola, it seems, has the ability to uh, protect the little end caps that cover your chromosomes. Oh, I'm sorry, correction. Telomeres is what they address. Yeah,
Yes.
telomeres are
I
the,
was just
the
going to
little
say
end
those are
caps.
telomeres. Yeah.
Telomeres. And the problem is that every time your cells divide, your telomeres get increasing, they get shorter and shorter and shorter. And there comes a
Yeah.
point in your life when your
Yeah.
telomeres are no longer long enough to serve their purpose. And when your telomeres are spent, so are you. Well,
Mm,
apparently,
mm,
Gatu Kola
mm.
has the effect of activating the enzyme which causes telomeres to lengthen. And if that's true, that is hugely to your benefit.
Yeah.
My second faith-based supplement is called PQQ, and it addresses another one of the 12 hallmarks of aging, and that involves mitochondria. And for your viewers who are not sure what mitochondria are, those are the little tiny powerhouses, the energy factories present by the thousands in virtually every cell in the human body. And the problem is those little mitochondria decline in number and function the older we get, and when they're spent, we're spent. But
Yeah.
apparently, PQQ addresses this situation on two different fronts. It increases the efficiency of mitochondria, and it also generates new mitochondria. That would
Uh-huh.
be huge. And so there's another
Yeah.
hallmark of aging. My third faith-based
Okay,
supplement.
excuse me. What does
Oh yeah.
PQQ? What does PQQ stand for? Do you know?
Oh, pyro
Probably some very
something.
long.
Oh yeah. Uh, uh,
I'll look it up. I just
Yeah,
wondered if it was
it's Pyro
something
something
short.
quinone, and
Okay.
the problem is it's there. It's a I'm just using abbreviations here, but if you went to
Yeah.
online and you went to your health food store and said PQQ, they'd know exactly what you were talking about. If you
Okay.
gave it the long version of the name, they'd say, "I'm not sure I know what that is." Nobody calls it by its real name.
Okay,
And
got it.
so, third supplement, faith-based, is resveratrol,
Oh
and
yeah.
I remember reading about resveratrol when I was in reading Prevention magazine because it's the phytonutrient that's found in grape skins and red wine. So if you've ever heard any
Yeah.
connection about the health benefits of drinking red wine in moderation, it's due to resveratrol.
Yeah.
However, now science is saying resveratrol has the ability to activate one of the seven longevity genes common to all mammals. This is huge
Okay.
if you're activating a longevity gene. That particular longevity gene is also activated by calorie restriction and fasting, and it's activated by intense aerobic exercise. Well, I
Mm.
don't do calorie restriction and fasting very well, but I can engage in intense aerobic activity and I can take resveratrol in supplement form. My last faith-based supplement is NAD plus, and it has the potential to be the superstar of them all. According to some high-profile recent research, NAD plus activates all seven longevity genes combined.
Wow.
That stands to be really significant, but there's a
Yeah.
problem here.
What's
And
the problem?
when if you Well, it's a problem for me. If you look behind me, you'll probably see a bunch of books on a bookshelf.
Hmm.
Those are all my books on health, wellness, and nutrition.
Mm.
And every one of those authors I respect to the max. They're all my health experts. But are they in complete agreement with each other on every item?
No.
Absolutely not. And you can bet NAD plus supplements is one of those areas of contention. One of
Mm.
the authors up there says NAD supplements activate all seven longevity genes common to all mammals. Another expert up there, an author of a book, says, no, it doesn't. In fact, NAD doesn't activate any of the seven
Oh,
longevity genes common to all mammals.
no.
So where does that put me? Well, when situations like this occur, there's discrepancies. I either go with which author makes the best case for supporting their particular viewpoint.
Yeah.
But in this case, I don't know. So what I have to do then is consult AI. That's what I do. And in this case, AI accessed nine different sources.
Mm.
AI's result, NAD supplements do not activate all seven longevity genes.
Okay.
However, however, they do activate longevity gene number one and longevity gene number three, and they may activate two to three more. But the research is inconclusive and more studies need to be done. Fine, that works for me. I will continue to take NAD supplements. And besides, that longevity gene number one, that's the same one that gets activated by caloric restriction and fasting, aerobic exercise, and resveratrol. But
Mm.
longevity gene number three approaches it addresses different health issues, and that one of the issues it addresses is of a special interest to me because it is addressing another one of the 12 hallmarks of aging. And that particular hallmark that it addresses, there are cells called stem cells, and they're
Yeah.
present in our when we're just little baby embryos. They're present by the thousand, well, millions. And because they have all their DNA turned on and they have the ability to form specific tissues like muscle tissue or nervous tissue or connective tissue. But as we get older, our stem cells decline in number and function. But yet, if you can activate longevity gene number three, that may help go a long way to preserve your stem cell population. Now then, this brings up a point. Are we entering a new period in human history where biohacking has the ability to extend human life? Don't know, but I bet you've heard of a famous person in the news lately named Brian Johnson. And if you haven't, he is definitely taking this to the max. Well, I don't know if those supplements are working for me or not. But I do want to say this. I will be 80 years old in 4.5 more years. And I can guarantee you right now, I am quite capable of surpassing both the push-up requirement and the pull-up requirement for the Navy SEALs. And given my age, that seems like it should be noteworthy. But does it equate to longevity? I don't know. Ask me again if I make it to 115. That concludes my take on supplements, my faith-based supplement program.
Oh, you're amazing. I'm hoping everybody's going to watch this, because you're so articulate. You've done your research, and there's so much research online. There's so much material online. Do you even really know? And then if you go and see a medical doctor, they're restricted. Their tests are not always conclusive and so on. So I really honor you for taking your health into your own hands. And you're also very blessed to be forest bathing every day in your frog
Mm,
ranch, right? I mean, that
absolutely.
is, yeah, that's fabulous. So, one last question, Geoff. During the pause, Raj was mentioning that he's quite concerned about the young people, and they're eating junk food, they're getting into smoking and alcohol and so on, and they really aren't even thinking about their health. So, because they feel pretty good, I'm assuming, what would be your number one advice for young people, teenagers, 20s, 30s? What would that be?
Boy, that is a difficult question because when I was a teenager, I wasn't listening either. I was eating junk food. So what could anybody have been told me back when I was 20, in my 20s, to say, hey, guy, if you're interested in a long, healthy life, you better need to do this, this, and this. So what you've done, that question is really, really difficult. My personal opinion, I think there needs to be action at the governmental level. They need to quit
Ah,
subsidizing the junk food industry,
yeah,
instead subsidize the health food industry.
yeah,
And well, I've never really researched that topic, but it's my understanding that the fast food that's available out there would not be that cheap if it didn't get some sort of a subsidy from the federal government. And I do not know that for sure. So I'm kind of shooting from the hip
yeah,
there. But
yeah,
I also think that there was a campaign not too long ago, well, decades ago, about the health, the terrible health benefits. No, smoking. Smoking causes problems, cancer,
yeah,
debilitation. And the government really did a campaign to stop smoking, and it worked. It really did. I
hmm,
think there needs to be a campaign on highly processed food to the max.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, totally. Yeah, and even getting back to this, that I 1,000% agree that people need to move into a whole plant-based diet. But I'm very concerned in our country anyway about vaping because the young
Yeah.
people are moving away from smoking, but they're going into vaping, and now the research on vaping is quite conclusive, and yet our governments are not doing anything about it. I don't understand why. It's I mean to me it's a no-brainer.
Hmm.
Stop subsidizing things that make people sick. Stop it. Just
Right.
stop it. Yeah. Bingo.
Oh,
Yeah.
may I respond with something else that I think needs to be done?
Okay.
I definitely think medical schools across the country should start teaching nutrition on a routine basis and
Yeah.
requiring it for all physicians. These are the
Yeah.
allopathic physicians
Physicians. Yeah.
because currently they're not getting training in healthy lifestyle and nutrition. So how
Yeah.
can they help their patients in this regard? All they
Yeah.
do is just prescribe medications that manage the symptoms of chronic disease but don't cure
Yeah.
it. And I think that's a
Yeah.
huge part of the problem too.
Yeah.
We need
Absolutely.
leadership from the top down to get people to lead healthier lives
Yes.
and not subsidize the junk food industry anymore.
Well, folks, I'm sure that you've been hanging on like me for this whole podcast because Geoff has such valuable information to share, and I'm sure he would welcome emails and phone calls from you, and we've put it in the above the video here. Geoff, you're amazing. Nothing short of amazing, right? As Raj says, you are our superhero, right, Raj?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Betska. Thank you, Raj, for the great
Yeah.
compliment.
Oh, thank you for being here. And we're going to have you back. Clearly, there is so much more we want to pick your brain on. So, Merry Christmas to you. Happy holidays.
Oh, happy
And
holidays to you too, as well.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And God bless you. Yes, we'll see you soon. Bye for now.
All right.